Hello everyone, today I'm going to be going over why not to go to art school. In a different video, I went over reasons why art school is great, so I'm on both sides of that. I seem to have more gripes about not going to art school because the one I went to left me on such a sour note at the end. For the 4 years I attended, well, 3.5 years I attended, it was great. Like, I made friends, I made art, I didn't have to worry about having a job and paying for rent since I had school. Final semester of my senior year, they pulled a stunt, which I will go on about in a different video, which soured my mood about art school just a little bit. But one of the first and the most classic reason about not going to art school is the astronomically increasing prices of tuition, especially for specialized things such as art. As I'm sure you all know, tuition has increased exponentially. According to BusinessInsider.com, the average annual increase in college tuition from 1980 to 2014 grew by nearly 260% compared to the nearly 120% increase in all consumer items. The average cost of tuition in 1980 was about $9,000, and now it's like $40,000 a year to go to college, which they say you have to if you want to get a job that will make you money. For a lot of people, that just puts them in an enormous amount of debt. Thankfully, there seems to be more and more scholarships coming out and more people fighting to lower the cost of tuition to actually be able to create a future. This was one of the pluses in my good art school video, but it's also a minus. The people. Just like everywhere, the people that you surround yourself with pretty much drive who you are and what you are. And at my art school, there was a lot of people that were very negative all the time, and when it's the only thing that ever comes out of their mouths, and they just look for compliments all the time, and then when you give it to them, they shoot you down. It is a hard environment to be in. Another bad reason about art school is, this might sound a little rude to say, but sometimes they let people pass. But for some people I saw that got through the entire 4 years of college, I didn't see them being successful in the artistic field. Their ability to drive themselves to do art was so non-existent, and it didn't improve while they were in school. Teachers just let them get past with D's and let them graduate, and with no work ethic, with no drive to be better, with no interest in being anything more than just what they are at the moment. And they let these people get a degree, which in my opinion is basically setting them up for failure. If you get through college, you might think you're able to handle whatever, but if the school let you through just to get the extra money in the last year, or in the last couple years, or to get their graduation percentage up, or whatever else schools care about, institutions care about, they're setting those people up for failure. And I remember a couple of people that I just believed were set up for failure. They got incredible amounts of debt, and they passed on giving excuses and complaining about their life, not trying to fix themselves for the better, and maybe taking up a couple years off and coming back. I'm not saying that they couldn't be good or couldn't be successful. It was in that moment in their life, they were not going to be successful graduating at that point and being shoved into the professional world. Like I said, that might be a controversial opinion, but I just want what's best for people, in letting people pass when they don't put in effort and don't put in time and don't care, and then telling them they can succeed with this degree when they truly didn't succeed in school at that time in their life is setting them up for such failure that it's kind of sad. Another bad thing about art school is they're stuck in old ways in some cases. They have teachers that have been there for 50 plus years, like a crazy amount of years, teaching the same way they did when they started. Not saying that older teachers can't teach great, but they have to adapt with the times just like everybody else does. I didn't necessarily have a teacher that was behind the times and was useless or anything like that. I have seen some complaints about teaching skills that used to be important but now are not, or not teaching skills that used to not even be a concern and now are one of the biggest parts of creating a career in the arts, which a biggest one would be the recent just incredible growth of social media and the need for social media if you're going to be a freelance artist or a artist for hire or any of those things. My school didn't teach anything about social media, which it is a weird thing to teach. It's a bizarre thing to need to think you need a class in. Everything I see now after the fact is like, get your art out there, post consistently, post on Instagram, post on Twitter, post on all this stuff, make sure you're open for work, make a website. They did go over the website at school, but make a website, have a portfolio, all that stuff, but like post on social media and get your name out on social media and do all of this on social media. And that's just the thing the arts institutions need to look into. Being in art school also limits you because they always tell you never do fan art. Don't do fan art. If you do fan art, you're gonna fail. Ugh, fan art is the worst. And then you go out and industry professionals are like, you know what got me my job? Fan art. You know what got me this job? Fan art. You know how I got started? Fan art. So that complete disdain and hate for art in studio classes and saying don't do it because it'll never lead to anything is such a total lie that they should really stop just saying that in general, because most success stories I hear is they dropped fan art that someone liked and then the studio or publisher or editor, comics, whatever, shared it on their social media, and that's how they started getting job opportunities and offers and all of that stuff. So draw fan art for one, post fan art, tag it, social media, yep. Another one is teaching things that are not studio industry standards anymore, or not teaching things that are studio and industry standards now. Toon Boom, which is an animation program, it was really becoming a studio standard, and there wasn't a class that used it or told us how to use it or taught us how to use it. Clip Studio Paint EX, Clip Studio Paint, which is becoming a very studio standard illustration and comics program, there was no class on it. They actually bring me in now to do some talks about Clip Studio, but not having a teacher there that can help with some of these new studio industry standard programs and processes is also not great. School also has the issue of their credits not being easily transferable or credits from another school being transferred into their curriculum. I didn't deal with this, but I had friends who transferred in and maybe half of their credits were taken, and that's because they only filled the English and history, which is like art history, but they had other histories. You need to write things in your portfolio and artist statements. So those are the only credits, but like the math and the science and anything else they took, none of it transferred. And even some of the art classes, if they didn't match up perfectly, they wouldn't transfer those credits. Then also transferring any of those credits out, because very few standard schools, not art schools, whatever, don't take, figure drawing as a English class or any of their credits. But that's more of an issue of transferring to a different degree that wasn't in the arts. If you're transferring from an art to an art, it's not as bad. And then another huge thing is not setting you up for anything past graduation. They teach you how to do art, how to draw and how to paint and how to animate, but they don't teach you how to get an animation job, how to get a job painting, how to get commissions, how to get freelance work, how to do any of that. I luckily had a teacher that went over a little bit of the taxes and stuff like that, but financial, business, any of those things, there was not even a class offered that you could take. The only thing that was kind of close was they had a professional practice. They had you make a portfolio and a website and some of that kind of stuff, but not how to actually find jobs and apply to them and get started on your career as an artist, or if you're looking into any other thing that wasn't a standard studio job, like freelancing work and stuff like that, there was no information. And even the teachers that were teaching those classes sometimes had no information on it because they had their studio job right out of college and then worked that, and now they're teaching college, which is also fine. But they need to bring in a more rounded staff that can help in the new ways that art careers are taking. And last but not least, the institution as a whole. Everything revolves around money, and we all know that already. You need money to survive, but there's also people that just think they need more money forever. I can't say the president and higher ups at my school were money hungry or anything like that, but they didn't seem to listen to any of the students' concerns about anything. Every time, I only talked to them once, but the time I talked to them once, they had no idea what was happening in their departments when I brought up some issues I was having. I had gone through the proper, I'll go over this more detail in a different video, but I had gone through the proper steps of escalation for this issue I was having, and once I got to the top, and it was a whole department issue, so it was something the president you'd think would know about. So that was a whole mess. I will link the video I did about that in the description and have a pop-up maybe somewhere if I can figure out how to do that. So this is the final piece. It was based on Interjex. I don't know how to say their username on Instagram. It was a draw this in your style. I really liked this one because it was really pink. Overall, it was a really fun piece, and I'm excited to do more of the draw this in your style. Thanks for watching, and follow me on Instagram at KaseySaus.